Okay. When I come and go ahead. Today, Mr. K. Pitts is going to go ahead. He's going to be the host for today's session. We have Mr. Wendell, Ms. Kennedy, and Mr. Mojave that are here to speak with him. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on this week. So, without further ado, first of all, I need y'all to get the likes up. I need y'all to come on in, share this, get it on your pages, because we need to make sure everybody hear this. If you have a question, a comment, a concern, hit the box. We want to know. We can't address it if we don't know. All right. Okay, Mr. K. Fitz, I'm going to bow out gracefully. All rules, you already know. Like last week, I'm disappearing. Y'all got this. And go.
We're gonna wait for her. When I see she's vanished off the live, then we'll go ahead and start. All right. Let's see. I'm just waiting for her to vanish. As soon as she vanishes, we're gonna go. All right. I see she disappeared off Facebook Live. So before we get into it, a couple rules for everybody. Here's the deal. If you just got up here, we appreciate you being here. But the first thing I need y'all to do, I need y'all to get these likes up. So Wendell already gave the rules of engagement for the night. It's real simple. At least 50% interaction. So on one stream, I got the whole squad. You see the whole squad on your screen right now. So we appreciate each and every last one of y'all being here. But here's the deal. If I look over here at the Facebook Live and I see that the number of eyes looking don't match the likes by at least 50%, we're going to take a quick break. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play for y'all what's going to play if y'all don't do it right. Here we go. I was looking in the mirror, trying to find. That song is trash, and I know y'all don't want to hear it. Woo. So here's the deal. Let's get it. Hey, look, don't be petty. Hey, so look, so I need you to get the likes up now. Throughout this whole time, y'all gonna have 1,000 opportunities. But what I need you to do, I need you clicking like. Number two, if you got comments, you got questions, there's a comment box. Hit that comment box, hit it heavy because we want to hear what y'all got to say tonight. This is the very last session the gentlemen are doing together until the next time that Michelle asks us to come on. That could be a month, that could be 3 months, that could be a year from now. Y'all don't know. So enjoy tonight, ask the tough questions. And as you ask questions in the box, we're going to roll them over. So with that being said, I see right now we got about 8 people online. When y'all get that number to 10, we'll start. So what that probably means you're going to have to do, I'm going to give you some assistance. What I need you to do.
Help them out, K-Fitz.
I need y'all to share. You know, like in school, you know, Barney used to always talk about it. You know, I don't know the song no more because I'm 30 something. But I need y'all to share that, John, real quick because we want to get this up real fast. The minute that thing says 10, it can drop back down, it can go back up. But the minute it hit 10, we're going to get this going. And that should give me enough time to go unlock this door real quick because I don't need nobody running up in here asking me questions. So, hey, y'all got a moment. When that thing hits 10 eyes, we'll get it going. I appreciate y'all.
Let's get it, y'all. Let's get it.
Let's go.
All right. 2 more people.
Let's go. Let's get the likes up. Share. Comment. Follow Michelle. Let's get her viewership up.
There you
Go. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. In the meantime, this bread slaps. I'm gonna need it. This is
Get it. I see you, brother. Salute.
Yo.
Hey, I'll drink to that.
All right. Hey, let's go, y'all. Hey, I keep looking at this number. This thing keep fluctuating. I don't want to see no flux. I want to see it go up. Yeah, how y'all say it? If it's up, then it's stuck. I need y'all to stick it at 10 right now. Let's get these 10 up here.
Right. I'm on cup number 2 by the time we get started.
All right, let's go. Stop playing. Last time I checked, y'all ain't on the Xbox right now. Stop playing with me. Let's go. I promise y'all, the minute that thing hit 10, we're gonna get serious. In the meantime, in between time, we're gonna be sitting here chilling for a minute. All right, let's go. You know what? Let me hit this refresh button. I want to see how many likes we got already. All right, let's see. Okay. All right. No, look at y'all following through. I see y'all.
There we go.
Executing to the intent. All right.
Mhm,
We
mhm.
only need one more. Oh, there it is.
All right.
All right. Like, dang,
Hey, all right, all right.
I was finna hit my orange too.
Let's go.
All right. So on that note, oh, look at that. That's 11. All right. Gentlemen, are y'all ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. We're going to get this going
Ready?
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what up? It's me. It's your boy K Fitz, bringing that new just for you that real that you can feel. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Exploration, hosted by the wonderful Miss Michelle Warren, who has given me the opportunity tonight to moderate this event. Real quick before we get started, I've already told you who I am. I am K Fitz Inspires. You will also see on the team my big homie Mojave is in the building. You will also see the other big homie Wendell is in the building, and you will also see the God Kennedy is in the house today. So the way this is going to rumble, we're going to make this real simple for y'all. We have a couple different categories we're going to discuss tonight. I'm going to list them off to you real quick. Category number 1, very short, is media. Category number 2 is finance. Number 3, mentorship. Number 4, relationships. Number 5, social justice. And we'll really hit it hard, and we will go in depth into the family dynamics of manhood. So with that being said, the gentlemen have already been given instructions. The way that the rotation is going to go, Mojave will answer first, Kennedy will answer second, and Wendell will answer last. Each gentleman has an opportunity to speak. They are able to speak at will. If anyone disagrees, you are more than willing or capable of jumping into the discussion, laying out your viewpoint, as long as we're tactful and respectful, but it's nothing but gentlemen on the line, so I'd expect nothing less. If you have questions or comments, please drop them over there in that comment box, because we're going to be taking those questions, noting them, and we're going to knock them out as they come, because that's what real men do. We execute. So on that note, let's go ahead and get into this. Mojave, we're going to kick this off with you. The first topic we're going to discuss is media. So only one question for media tonight, keeping it short and sweet. So a study was done that says that 80% of people of color have had some form of experience with mental illness or with discrimination, but felt like they were unable to speak about their experiences. So my question for you, and specifically, if it wasn't for the Black man's depiction in social media, and if it wasn't for the depiction of mental health, as in seeking mental health in social media, do you think Black men would be seeking mental health assistance at the level that they are right now? So I'll ask it again in short. If social media was not pushing the agenda of going to seek mental health, do you think that more Black men would be trying to get it now?
That's a mixed bag question, because media falls into different categories. And so, it's like we have Twitter, and then we have Black Twitter, right? So there's there's the media that's the mainstream media, and then there's the media that we create amongst ourselves, the Facebooks, the Black Twitter, the things of the like. So when we're talking about stuff in our enterprises dealing with us directly, the push for us to seek mental health and actually seek out people to help us get therapy and do these things is pushed by our particular media. It is not pushed by mainstream media. If mainstream media, only thing that mainstream media does is it spins a tail and makes us seem more deviant, more pathological, more anything else that's going on. We are treated in images that are portrayed throughout time in order to make things different. Matter of fact, the one thing that I thought while I was listening today, it was TYT, the Young Turks, and they were talking about how the idea of seeing someone Black and just automatically, like a young man was arrested taking out the trash. They didn't know who it was. They just pressed him. And the first thing this man said was turn around. Now, media will spin that and act as if there was nothing wrong with that whole circumstance. Now, mentally, you have to think about what he was going through when they ran up on him. He's like, I did virtually nothing. I did virtually nothing. And it's like, mainstream media will have you believe that we're in this particular thing. We're angry, we're mad, we're anything else. But our media definitively pushes the idea that we can seek help, we can utilize services, we can do certain things. I know people within my circle, within my group actually, they literally were offering during the pandemic free Zooms to mental health. They were offering all of these different things. And as we begin to help each other, and I don't think that we have enough push to get to resources to help us with our mental health, to help us with our regular health. There was a joke on Saturday night, they were talking about being inoculated. And he was like, yo, I'll give you $20,000, and nobody would say yes, because this is what we have. We have a history of being preyed upon through our health and being given the worst things happen to be experiments. So, two different things. Our media, yes. Mainstream media, no.
Hey, there's no breaks, Kennedy. It's on you now.
Okay, same question.
Same question.
Okay, I definitely agree with that. I personally feel like I do agree with the two different types of media. So we do have our media and mainstream media. However, with our, you got to think who the target audience is, being us, and who's putting out that information. So I don't really hear too much about mental health when it comes to us receiving that information. And 9 times out of 10, it's a joke. Like with the whole COVID thing going on, the first thing people say is, "Oh, I'm not getting that because this and this will go wrong." But besides it, we generational curses, and that's a big thing in family too. Personal experience, one of my family members is mentally disabled, and it's a family joke, unfortunately. Like, oh, that's just how so and so is. He a little special. But instead of trying to treat what was going on or figure out why they were the way they are, we don't really take it that seriously. And I think that's kind of perpetuated in our media with different Black movies. You always have that special cousin or that special uncle. So yes and no. I feel like we should probably delve a little bit deeper into mental health for us, and we're just not quite there yet.
So I would just say, as a tactic, because being Black men in America, knowing what it is like to be on the receiving end of so much animus and demonization that is propagated by the very media that we would then, according to this question, seek to credit with pushing our mental health. I would just say that your open enemy has no interest in your improvement. So, we know what it's like. We know what it feels like to be, whether you've had the personal experience or the anecdotal experience or just the shared energetic experience of looking down the barrel of the proverbial gun at the hands of those who would take your life just as easily as uh, picking their nose. So I do not give social media of any kind credit for pushing an agenda for Black men's mental health. If anything, I would say, Black men in our slow, our snail's pace progression in the area of mental health, it's starting to catch on. And it's even becoming a thing where the shame and some of the insecurity and the looking down, like I'm a man, I don't need nobody to help me. Well, that wall is beginning to come down bit by bit, and that message in certain spheres of social media may be out there, but I don't think that we should get it twisted that it's not being done for for our individual benefit. I think that it's being done because there's a market, and if the whole purpose in debating or putting a message out there is not necessarily to convince the person that you're arguing with or talking to as much as it is to influence those who may be watching. So it's like the cause of the moment. Even if, you know, if we can even call it a cause of the moment, it's something that's kind of thrown in there, and some people are responding to it. But I wouldn't give social media that much credit, that much clout for pushing for us what we, you know, should be doing for ourselves as men. So,
well, when I think of what you're saying, Wendell, I think that, like, as I've said in previous broadcasts, I think that society has started developing buzzwords, and these words are solely meant to make whatever event or whatever topic cool in the moment. Like, for example, some people are for, some are against the COVID shots. You have some people that are saying, go and get the shot because you're going to save a friend. There's other people that will say, don't get the shot because you take 2 shots, you're 6 feet deep. You know, there's different type of buzzwords and phrases that go to these different things. I think right now in the moment, mental health has become a buzzword everywhere. However, in the Black community, it's an opportunity of somebody finally said this, and it's something that we really need. Let's tackle this to the utmost ability of our power to get Black men and Black women into therapy so that we can build the most productive people possible to rebuild Black society to a higher level. But solely my perspective on that topic. But since we're on the topic of buzzwords, gentlemen, I'm going to drop one question in the middle. I know I gave different topics, but now I want to throw this one out there. Since we're talking about buzzwords, the term Black excellence, which live by that. But however, the term Black excellence has become a major buzzword that a lot of people throw out there. But I think we would all be ignorant and lying to ourselves if we didn't say that people exploit the term Black excellence to the point that it goes from being something to celebrate great things that Black people have done, and it's become a term of, I could do something negative, and as long as it benefits me and there's enough people that will agree that my negative action is good, then I can use the term Black excellence and almost brush my negative actions, my infamous antics under the mud. So I guess my question to you, gentlemen, is, can you define what is Black excellence to you? Where do you think Black excellence originated, and how are you working to exemplify Black excellence right here, right now?
I'm glad you asked that question. I thought my mic was off. To me, actually, I have a shirt I just did called Black Excellence, which I thought was funny, has a crown on it. But if you're a deviant and you practice certain things, it doesn't matter what your achievements are, you're still a deviant. No amount of excellence is going to erase that from something that you've done to damage or injure the community or any injured party surrounding that. You can't use whatever you thought was going to push you ahead or make you excel. It's only a difference between the type of work that you've done that creates the excellence. Excellence comes from work. It's not given to you. It's not birth to you. It's something that you consistently worked at. It's that person who decided to read, like, you know, I can only speak it from an artistic perspective. Like, if I'm a poet and I just write and I don't read anything, my poetry is going to be limited. If I read everything and I get a dynamic perspective, I get a worldview, and it starts to influence my writing, and my writing becomes better, and I practice and I read and I practice my poems, then I am creating an essence of excellence of what I'm trying to do. You know, in anything that I'm doing, I have a tendency to find the most excellence in somebody and push for that, because some people don't understand that they level off because other people around them don't want them to be great. It's a crab in a bucket mentality. It's the people who decide to rise above and do the work that's required. They go that extra mile because in that extra mile, there's nobody in that lane, and they're in that lane by themselves. This is the reason why we have to move that way. Black excellence to me is my son. My son worked for every single thing he had to do in order to get into medical school. He did that himself. You know, we can all say that we assisted, but the work was solely his. and the work was his, and he had it in his mind, and he had it in his, and he had to do the things that needed to be required. He had to study. He had to get with his friends. He had to give up all these different things. He literally had to fight against generational curses, all these different things, and then have all the men surrounding him, because it took a community of men. Because when I was in disagreement with his mother, I had to put people in his path, because his path is his path. And he decided to be excellent. He decided to take that chance. Most people will regard me as a certain type of poet. I don't regard myself as being the best, but I do regard myself as being excellent. I do regard myself as practicing and writing and doing the stuff and having my own enterprises, because nobody else is going to do it for me. Because I have to be that person. Now I work with people. I have a certain type of energy that attracts excellence. It's just like this shirt that I'm wearing, right? Black Men of Poetry, right? The brother who makes this with me, his name is David. His name is David Crouch. He's an excellent individual because he always goes the extra mile. And excellent people, they always do more. They always take that extra step. They always practice a little bit harder. They always stay a little bit later. They always come in a little bit earlier. They're always doing something that ascertains their excellence. And when it comes to Black men, we have to be excellent in everything we do, because we don't have the same chances and opportunity that we have to do with anybody else. 9 times out of 10, we seek to try to either be above somebody or stop somebody from getting opportunity, because we're afraid of them getting out in front, instead of us saying, let's link hands and run together. And when you can actually galvanize people, that's a form of excellence. But I'm gonna pass to Kennedy, so you can go on with you, bro.
I got you. I definitely agree with Mojave. Black excellence to me is a sense of pride amongst Black people in our community. It could be anything from just, throwing a community cookout or hosting a toy drive for our community. To me, that's Black excellence. Like, us as a Black people coming together, like, we need that more often. And it's not to say that we don't, you just don't hear about it as much as the negative things that happen. I like to think of myself as being Black and excellent, because a lot of people may not know it. I've been serving in the military in the US Army for 8 years now, and I'm transitioning from female to male. It takes a certain amount of courage, patience, and excellence to do all those things. I still went to work, perform my job day in and day out. I didn't switch up. I didn't change. What you see is what you got. If you was on some bullshit, I would tell you was on some bullshit. If you were doing the right things, I would give you the proper accolades. And it's just, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough trying to stay true to yourself and do what other people expect of you. But that excellence shined through when I chose to put myself above that while meeting the mission. That's pretty much all I got.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Wendell. You're on mute.
Oops, my bad. Yeah, I was just saying, I like that,
okay.
Kennedy. But yeah, when the question was asked, about what is Black excellence, and we said buzzwords, it made me think of another buzzword that I'm sure that virtually every man here and many people watching have recently become acquainted with. And that buzzword is high value. So yeah, so let's get it. Just like when you do the work to make whatever you do of value to the group, and you become valuable to the group, and then the group recognizes in you that there is something of value, that is Black excellence. And so it is something that everybody has the ability to hone and to work on and to improve, whether it is your craft, your purpose, your job, your interests, but whatever it is, it has to be something that is not just personally fulfilling, but something that can be of value to the greater community. I could be the world's greatest Lego builder, and I could do it with a high degree of proficiency and excellence. It doesn't necessarily make me valuable. you know. But then again, I could be an entrepreneur that you know, is you know, rehabbing homes, flipping houses. You know, I could be a super Airbnb, you know, property, you know, developer. I could be a musician or whatever it is. But what those things, if they are creating value that can be utilized by the greater community, then, and you're doing that at a high level, then there goes your excellence right there. So it also made me think of how we talked about you know, people having potential, you know. So there's potential excellence, but we know that according to physics, potential is just energy. Potential energy is just energy at rest. Black excellence would be kinetic. You know what I'm saying? So kinetic excellence. So I would want to see that kinetic excellence, that from, instead of my excellence being at rest, I want that excellence to be in motion. Because if it's not in motion, then it's not doing anything. And if it's not doing anything, then what's the use in having it? So for all of us, for everyone, you know, we can have potential. I just don't want us to solely be potential. I want to see us move from potential to kinetic excellence. So there you have it.
I like that. I like that.
I think y'all said a lot right there. I'll close this question up in a way that I'm sure a lot of the listeners can understand. When I think of black excellence to me is similar to black girl magic. It's known by all, hard to describe, but you know damn well it exists. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next topic, which is finance. All right, here we go. So question number 1 for finance. Mojave, starting off with you once again. What characteristics should a woman look for in a man besides finances?
Ooh.
How's it going?
You know, that's, dude, the funny thing is because there was a whole discussion based on that. You say that men like women because of what they look like or what they you know, what they look like, anything else. I'm sorry, this thing keeps going on, my thing. And that women like men for what they can provide. So the slickness of the question, because it's a trick question, of course. The trick question, of course.
You know how I do, baby.
I know how you do. I see you, Friday. I see you. You know, I do the whatchamacallit on you. It should always be character, spirit, energy, soul. You know, the way that you know is when you're looking for a person that's because they look a certain way, looks fade, bodies fade, you know, everything fades. You can lose money, you can do everything else, but having a true attraction to someone's spirit and their soul and their character always rises above the rest, you know. And so in certain cases, some people, they, you know, like people that I know have been with a person who were absolutely malignant narcissists, you know, that they put charming on and did all this other stuff, and then once they got that individual, they changed. You know, you have to really observe somebody for their heart and who they are. It's the heart of the man that really is the difference for anyone. If you're just gonna, okay, I have to have this set of characteristics, but if the heart of the man that you happen to be with happens to be what you like and who you are, and you're intimately attracted to the things that are intangible about each other, those are the things that I think would absolutely be the things um, that they should look for in a person. You should look for his character. You know, do they love their mama? They like you? Do they like themselves? Do they like themselves? You know, and not in the sense of them being completely into themselves. Like there's a few things that you should look in besides that. And then that intimately, how they treat themselves and how their walk is always going to predict what they do financially.
That was beautifully said. Beautifully said. So this is actually a really great question because I have a few different views on this question. The first thing I feel a woman men. Oftentimes, women try and emulate their father, so they're going to look for certain characteristics that their father have. You know, some women may not have grown up with their father, but a father figure. For example, my wife, her dad wasn't around, but her brother was like that father figure for her. So when we first started talking, you know, I started courting her, she would always compare me to her brother. And I'm like, all right, that's a little different for me. I'm not used to that. But she was on that mindset of like, this is my expectation. This is not necessarily trying to change me. Like, this is what you will be, but this is what I expect from you at a minimum. And I can respect that because her brother is a great man. You know, he's married now, 3 kids. So that's one thing. Another thing would be stability. Women want stability. You can have all the money in the world, and you know the things you do with that money or the way you spend your time. Women often, I won't say that they don't care about money, but they would rather your time and your attention. And that is way richer than any monetary value. Um, and I think the final thing would be consistency. Just show them that consistent way you are from the moment you're interested in that woman all the way through. If you make it that far to marriage and beyond, you should stay consistent. If you buy her chocolates and flowers, then damn it, 3 months later or you know a year later, buy her flowers. That's what she liked you for from the beginning. You know, don't switch up on her and try and be somebody you're not. So I think those are the 3 things that women tend to look for in a man.
So
I'm gonna pass it to Wendell.
yeah, I think that there are um, certain universal characteristics that are attractive to women across the board. But then as you start getting into the particular nuances of where a particular woman wants to go in her life, then that will begin to color and influence some of the more specific things that she's looking for in a man based on the way that she's moving, the way that the direction that she's going in. But generally speaking, I think that women should be looking for, you know, a man with vision, a vision greater than himself, greater than where we're about to eat, or you know, how am I going to pay next month's rent? You know, just a vision for life that gives him a drive. So it's a man that is driven would be the second thing. A man with personal power. And personal power is not to a code word for being domineering, but it is definitely I would say would be synonymous with being dominant. That having a presence that lets you know I am here and I am a force to be reckoned with, and even if you don't like me, you will know me, and you will respect me. Because if he can command that type of air and that type of presence from others, then she, by extension, reaps some of the benefit of that. Definitely a man of influence, a man whose word and deed carries weight. Um, and then someone who has mental and emotional intelligence. Because as life happens, your mental state is often going to be the lid that keeps you that keeps you at a certain level, or it could be the chute that opens up and allows you to catch more. So as we grow and as we evolve, that'll be another thing, is a man who is evolving. Because the person that you are, you know, in your 20s is not the person that you will be in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s. And if you have not grown and gone to another level in some aspect of life, from one decade to the next, then, you know, are you really utilizing your time well? Are you marshaling your resources and harnessing your energy in a direction that would make a woman feel comfortable and confident in your prowess and in your ability to lead. Those are just some of the things that I think, generally speaking, that that a woman should look for. And then beyond that, she has to ask herself the question: what type of role and what type of woman am I trying to be? Because that's then going to, again, further influence the type of man that she would seek to align herself with.
I'm glad you said that, because you're leading into the next question. So on that note, before we wrap this one up, I'd like to make, I'm going to read back some of the comments the gentleman listed out. So some of the categories, some of the things that, from a man's perspective, that women should be seeking out in potential male partners: consistency, stability, emotional intelligence, influence, i.e. word and deed that carries weight, constant evolution, and leadership prowess. The reason I particularly brought this question up, I was writing last night and this topic randomly came to my mind, very short and simple. We have to seek out partners that are more than money. And the reason why is because money doesn't buy manners, mission, or motivation. I'm going to say it again. Money does not buy manners, i.e. the way he carries himself, mission, his willingness to set a goal, a vision that you both can tackle together, or motivation. Once people get a certain amount of money, there's this thing called complacency that can hit people. And now the pursuit of becoming better ceases because I've got enough, so people can get relaxed. What matters is, do they have all of the other characteristics that culminate into one being that not only provides these characteristics, but aligns with the other areas that you would care about more. So,
and K Fitz, hey, if I could jump in here on that, remember,
absolutely.
everybody understand and remember that money is amoral. Money doesn't make you anything. It just gives you the ability to express more of what you already are.
That's true.
So, if you're mission oriented, then money just gives you more of an opportunity, more tools to express your dedication to your mission. If you're a buster, if you're dusty, or however, whatever these new colloquialisms are that are nowadays, to describe the type of man that a woman doesn't want. Well, if he got some money, he's going to be more of that. So, choose well, because money is a magnifier. And that's all that it is.
That's very true.
Once I was listening to, so I'm about to show my age, so y'all get ready. So I think I was in high school when Fabulous dropped the From Nothing to Something mixtape. And one of the first songs on the album, he said, "Money can't buy happiness. It's just a damn good down payment." So y'all can take that one and let it run with you as you please. Hey, gents, I'm gonna get to the next question for y'all. Mojave, again, we're gonna start with you and rotate around. So my question for you, plain and simple, this is gonna be one that may require a little more thought, so I'm warning in advance. You as a man are meeting a new lady, and you're in a mindset where you're not dating to date, you're dating with the intent of courting and eventually marrying. What questions are you asking this lady to vet that she has the potential of being your wife?
Have you been arrested in the last 6 months? Do you have a record? Do you have felonies?
Damn.
You've been arrested for grand larceny. Has you or anybody else been committed to any type of institution that required that you wear a straitjacket? And I'm being funny, but I'm being very serious at the same time, because a lot of times we meet the people who are representatives before we meet the people who are actually true to themselves. And so you really don't know. And I'm just being funny about it, but there's serious questions, because you want to see where the person's heart is, where they are. The same things that I would say that you should look for in a man is the same thing you should look for in a woman. Because if you choose the right partner, you can have a better life because of how they are, because of their education, because of how they carry themselves, because of how they relate to life in itself. You know, I've already been through a divorce. I can tell you, like, the best thing that ever happened was we had kids, and that's about it. But other than that, you know, literally, we weren't good for each other. And I had to get over myself and come to terms with the fact that I simply wasn't a good partner. I did not have good decision making abilities. I did not understand exactly what it was or how it was. Now, someone in between there had very good decision making possibilities, had very good abilities to see certain things inside of me, and always cherished that about me. And so those things are actually good. Someone who can see into you. They also, have to be able to see your dreams and understand your vision and actually be able to decide for you. A person who can actually understand your heart, but also put a foot in your butt if you're not in the game. Someone who's not going to enable you, but someone who's going to help you to grow yourself. You know, you don't just plant seeds. You have to harvest your garden. You have to harvest your garden. If you don't do that, if you're not pouring into that person, if you're not making sure that you have the proper fertilizer, and I'm not talking about shit, um, you're not going to have a successful relationship. You're going to have certain things. So, there are certain things I want to know off that. Some of them come down to the basic things of what's happening. Because you need to know that when things are down, if you were left with nothing, what would that person be saying? Can you actually come together? Is this person selfish? Does this person have a bad relationship with their family? There's so many different things that go into it. You know, Sometimes I think like the best way to see someone is when they're at their most natural state, doing the most natural things, doing almost nothing, and that really tells you who they are. Can you actually do nothing? Can you keep something very simple? Like going out for ice cream as opposed to going out and spending $300 on dinner. Which one is more applicable to them?
Yo, hey Mojave, but I'm gonna jump in real quick. What you make me, I agree with everything you're saying, but I think the challenge is that for a lot of people, they walk into first couple of dates, they walk into this new relationship, and they are trying their best to conceal all of these negative traits about self, which may not be negative, it's just them being themselves, but they've already confirmed that that trait in their head, no shadow of a doubt, it's a negative trait. So I'm I don't know how people can scout it walking into the relationship when this person will show no signs, no symptoms, but but how do I say this? They show no signs, they show no symptoms, but their attitude is COVID.
Listen,
I pause.
listen. Everybody shows up at some point or the other. You will always get the representative, whether it be 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line. That person's going to show up. The first time you see someone and they get triggered or something happens, you're going to see it. And it's mostly, it's a joke, but I'll be like, yo, pass gas as early as you can in a relationship so you know how funky it's going to be. You know, I'll be keeping it simple on some crazy stuff, but it's really basics. You really have to decide who the person is. Can you love this person and their dirty drawers? Can you understand? Can you stand them snoring or the sight of their feet? All of these things come up. When you're looking for something, you're looking for something that really comes in and coincides with you. Your energy and your spirit has to match. That is the difference. If you have those things together, those things are actually things that work.
Kennedy,
Wow.
go ahead. It's on you.
I don't even know how to follow that up. Mojave, thanks, man. Yeah, I know. Mojave just he came through with some gems. Like I can't even top that up. Say the question again, man. Mojave just with the jewels, bro. Like,
Yo,
god damn.
it's all good. My question is, so let me frame the scenario again. So
Okay.
you're in the dating market right now. You're not in the dating market just trying to find someone to take home and leave. You have full intent of meeting, courting, and eventually marrying. In those first stages of you meeting this new person, what questions are you asking to determine whether this person has the potential of being your life partner forever?
Okay, I got you. I got you. It's not gonna be as good as Mojave's, but I give you my best.
Hey, shoot your shot. We here for
So,
that.
right. So definitely want to ask about family health history. Going back to the topic of mental health, not just in men but in women. You know, a lot of our Black women have not only mental issues, emotional issues that they haven't dealt with, emotional traumas. I hate using that term, but it is what it is. Emotional traumas they haven't dealt with or don't know how to deal with it. Are they willing to go to therapy? Are they willing to at least talk to somebody about the things that they've been through, excuse me. Most of the times when you are trying to wife a woman, especially, our Black men, they have this, well, what does he really want? What's the underlying, what is he trying to be? And really you're just trying to, you're trying to do right by her, but she's been hurt so many times in the past that she can't get past that baggage or the emotional stress of carrying all the things she's dealt with previously in life to even let you get that far in the relationship. So that would definitely be something I would ask. Another thing would be, do you envision having, why or why not? What are your plans the next 3 to 5 years? How do you plan on reaching those goals? These are things that we often talk about and we don't follow through with them. You definitely have to have at least a goal and you prove to me how you're going to get to that goal, $1 million. But if I don't write down my goals and to reach $10 million, it doesn't mean shit to me. And I can't do much with it. So those are some of the, like, off top. Talk to your mom. Do you talk to your dad? Do you have a close relationship with your sibling? Do you know all your siblings? How are your aunts, your uncles? Would you be open to meeting my family? Things like that. Can we alternate going between families on holidays? Because that could be an issue. A lot of people don't think of these things, but your wife may want to go to her family every holiday that comes up, and then your people, your side of the family, don't get to see your family. Um, so those are some big things that you have to consider when you're trying to get in a relationship with somebody for the long haul.
Yeah, I like that. This is this is like show me the Carfax. Okay.
Right.
Show me the cat facts.
Right.
Tell me the cat facts.
Show me the cat facts.
How many miles? How many
But
miles
no,
you got on that thing?
But well, for me, when I say show me the Carfax, I'm trying to find out about your skill set. Because if I'm talking about wanting to make a woman a wife, or my wife, I need to know, is there a wife there in the first place? Because I don't believe that marriage makes anyone a wife. Marriage doesn't make a woman a wife any more than marriage makes a man a husband. Wife and husband are job descriptions. They're not just positions. They're not just titles. So, I would be asking questions like, if I had a chance to interview your exes, what would they say about you? How did you leave each of those relationships? What was the reason that caused those relationships to end? And who was and has
I like that.
Have you taken onus and responsibility for the part you played in the demise of your last relationship?
That part.
Or was it all his fault and you were the victim? I want to know what's your relationship with humility and accountability.
Be accountable. Be accountable.
What's your relationship with money and debt? To you, are they one and the same, or are they two different things? Let's see. What do you believe a wife should be, and are you that? Why or why not, and can you prove it?
Can I hop in real quick?
Yeah.
We talk about the whole thing about being a wife versus having a wedding, and there's a difference between the two, because wife is a covenant, a business relationship, a partnership, you know, a place, and then people kind of like just weddings and just I'm doing all this and I want to go vacations and do some fun stuff, blah blah blah. And I'm not hating. I'm just telling you that this is what happens. We have to look at the divorce rates because 50% of marriages are ended by women. So just to hop that. You know,
Yeah, and that was actually one of my next things. What for you is the difference between being a bride and being a wife? Because I think
come
that
on,
there's a lot of women that want to get married so that they can become a bride,
come on.
but then when it's time to be a wife, that's a completely different thing. That you don't read magazines and watch movies that talk about being a wife, but there's all kinds of magazines and movies that highlight being a bride. And I think I'd said it a while
Right.
ago. There's a Disneyfication of relationships, and you know the focus for a lot of women, unfortunately, and this is just based on their childhood and their upbringing. Again, Disney gets a hold of them real quick. So there's a big focus on the wedding and the things that lead up to the wedding. You don't ever hear anything about the what it takes to go from just being married to actually being a spouse, and then in the process of being a spouse, discovering if there is indeed a wife hidden underneath all of that. Because otherwise you just married to a woman who holds the position of bride, um, and that's about it. You have a spouse, you have someone that you are married to. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have a wife.
Truth time.
Um,
I'm just
so
Right.
truth time just to hop
yeah,
in.
if we're talking about, I mean, if you are indeed of the mindset where you are focusing on marriage, then you know you need to ask. I would say you would need to ask these questions and be fully intentional about it, and then don't take any shit. When it comes to you
Right.
making a decision on whether or not this is the woman that you want to invest your husbandry into. Because
Well,
a
Right.
because a husband, husbandry is actually a job. That's a
it is.
vineyard caretaker. His
Listen,
job is to cultivate the vineyard.
well,
You know,
that's when you talk about fertilizing. But I'm going to be transparent with myself. I didn't get married because I thought it was a great idea. I got married because I was under duress. I was under duress, and it was actually my fault for not having a spine and standing up and saying, "No, I'm not going to marry you because you're going to do all this other stuff with the kids." Because she had no interest in really being a wife. She just wanted the title of being a wife
mm-hmm.
to say that this happened and all this other stuff that was going on. It was probably one of the worst decisions I ever made. And on top of it, it was because I was under duress, because I didn't have a spine, because I didn't show up, because I was being emotionally abused, because I didn't talk to people and tell everybody that was going on with me, and I kept it to myself. I was forced into a bad situation. And I
Mm-hmm.
completely take full ownership for all of it, because you have to be responsible for you at all times. And when it comes to marriage, if you're marrying someone simply because you want a title, it is not the reason to be married. You will mess
Right.
up your life, your kids' lives. You'll do all kinds of stuff, and you'll spend all your time trying to spin out and get out of everything else. And like you said, husbandry. I wasn't prepared to be a husband. I really wasn't. I didn't have any idea about what it was to do. And then I let people in religion tell me what they thought I should be doing. And so when
That
they
part.
told me what they thought I should be doing,
Right.
then that influenced, like I ended up in church relationships that I had no business being in, because it wasn't that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't believe, it was just I was following the religion. I was following this because
Right.
the religion made her happy and it made my life easier and things could happen, but it wasn't how I wanted anything and how I wanted it to go. And so when it came to it, I ended up getting married because I was forced to, because the person told me they were going to take my children and go elsewhere. And they had plenty of time proving it and doing it. And so it was a real threat to me. It was credible. I told nobody about it. But it's the type of stuff where you leverage somebody into doing something that they really had no business doing. So a lot of times men are getting leveraged. I could tell you at least 2 or 3 people are happening. And like my friend Christine, who's in the comments, Christine, we see you. Um, the ring doesn't matter. The wedding doesn't matter. Your relationship with that person matters. You know, my friend Christine is married to my very good friend Glenn. They're a pair, two of the funniest people I've ever met. But we have a thing that we do every Saturday. She pulled out a shirt. She said, he bagged me in this shirt. It was the funniest thing I ever seen in my entire life, but the most romantic and beautiful thing, because they have such a strong relationship. And it's not predicated on the fact of they're running around with rings and doing all these vacations and trying to be these persons. They're people who are simply happy with each other. And I think that when it comes to marriage, with relationships, when you can simply be happy with that person, period, is going to make your marriage function and move forward. So I just had to hop in on that. I'm sorry.
And
No, go
I'm gonna
ahead.
hop,
Go ahead, get it out.
and I'm hopping on that. It's interesting you said that. Hey, so first off, I wanna give a round of applause for Mojave for sharing that, because a lot of men, we oftentimes do get emotionally abused. We get abused, and when we talk about it, it's a joke. Like,
Mhm.
oh nah, she's not that bad, or you just, different stuff people say. But through my transition, I have learned about what it is like to be a man, what it takes to become a man. I haven't figured it all out. I'm forever learning. But it is a lot of pressure, like a lot, because growing up as a female, you're taught, make sure the house is clean, make sure dinner's the time your husband gets home, make sure the kids are taken care of. All these other things, that's pressure in and of itself. But once you become a man, is don't show emotion. Make sure your woman, your kids taken care of. Make sure you look presentable all the time. All bills got your wife got to have money in her pocket. Your kids can't be hungry. That that's a lot of pressure. Because I got married at my first marriage, and I don't know if you remember K Fitz. I got married at like 20, and it was my first time out of my parents' house. I graduated high school, I was 18, joined the army. 2 years later, got married. Didn't know a thing about marriage. Didn't know a thing about myself to be married. And it's crazy because like it started off great, as it often does, marital bliss in the honeymoon phase. And then we started encountering different little arguments here and there. And I didn't think much of it. I'm just trying to make sure that she's pleased and she's taken care of, putting aside my emotional, feelings and whatnot, my emotional well-being, just to sacrifice and make sure that she's taken care of. But what about us? And I'm gonna say it like that. What about us? We have emotions too. We need to be catered to emotionally as well. And oftentimes we give ourselves and give ourselves and give ourselves, so we don't have anything left. And it ends up in arguments and domestic cases, and then eventually divorce. And then you're breaking down the Black family, and then you're taking away kids. It's a lot, man. So I commend you for opening up about that and speaking out on that. I just want to put that out there.
So what I'm gonna do from here, gentlemen, we're gonna close this one and move to the next topic. But before we go, a couple quick comments I have, because I want to get it on this question in line. So before we get back into the big picture topic, I want to tap on what Kennedy just said, and I put it into this one simple quote that I hope people can take with them. What I wrote here was, everybody wants to jump the broom until it's time to sweep. Everybody wants to jump the broom until it's time to sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And in that, it sounds beautiful. You love the wedding. Matter of fact, and I Think I Love My Wife, starring Kerry Washington and Chris Rock. One of the things that Chris told Kerry was, you don't want to be married, you don't want to be a wife, you want the show. And the show looks pretty, but guess what? No one knows about the work that was required behind the curtain for the show to go off well. So I leave that comment there.
Right.
Everybody wants to jump the broom until it's time to sweep. Now,
Mhm.
I'm gonna put this book to the side because I want to make sure I'm going off the head real quick. Here's some questions that I would ask, and I warn y'all in advance, my brain hits a little different. So here's some of the things that I would personally ask to know if I'm selecting the right female and identify any red flags. So here we go. Number one, ma'am, when's the last time you had your STD panel taken? Number two, would you be willing to show me that STD panel result? You can redact your social and all that other stuff, but are you willing to show me what it looks like? Because eventually, if you and I end up in a bed somewhere, I need to know that you're not giving me a gift that I cannot return to sender. Ma'am, how much money are you making as well? Because many like to say, I want a man that makes six figures, but doesn't make close. Now, here's the thing. I don't have a problem with you desiring the money. What I have a problem with is making a demand with no intention or any actions towards forward projection that would align your money with mine, but claiming and putting the pressure on me to make it happen. The next thing I'm going to throw in your lap is, what type of goals and ambitions do you have long-term? And if you and I get together, are your long-term goals going to be impacted because of me? The reason that matters is because I don't want to go out achieving my goals and then you are resentful because I went achieved and you watched me win again and again and again. And now you are in your late 30s, early 40s, and you're looking at me saying that I could have done that. That could have been me, because you don't take pride in the fact of being a spouse. You take frustration with having selected to become one so early on. The last note I'm going to put out there is, if you, ma'am, if you don't have goals, why is it your goal to make me your husband?
Boom.
Ooh.
And that
don't
speaks
have-
to the heart of motivation right there. Are you aspiring to be a helpmeet, or are you aspiring to be a moocher?
You know what? I'm gonna throw it one step further, brother. Let me take what you just said. I'm gonna curve it real quick, just a tiny bit.
Go for it.
Are you here to be a helpmate, or are you here to be a help me?
Yeah.
I said what I
Yeah.
said, and I'll say it again for the folks in the back if you require it. All right. So on that note,
That's the
Boom.
one.
all right, let's move on, gentlemen, because y'all have absolutely rocked the house, and I'm grateful for all the content y'all are providing.
Speaking of the house, let's get those likes up.
Well, he said, you know what?
Views, likes, comments, shares. Tell your mama's mama, grandmama, aunties, aunties.
I see
Hit
what
the
you did
share
right there.
button. The share
I
button.
saw the outcast joke.
Oh, yo, daddy, mama, brother, sister, and them. That's what
Hey, we're gonna switch the rotation real quick. So we're gonna start off this time with Wendell. We'll go to Mojave, and then we're gonna go to Kennedy next. All right, continuing the conversation of finance. Why is money rarely talked about in Black homes? Hold on, wait. I'm sorry.
All right.
I missed a piece. Why is money rarely talked about in Black homes unless there's a problem? Now I'm done.
All right. A part of that is going to be accountability to ourselves, as far as looking at where we think we should be as opposed to where we are. It causes you to take self-inventory, because money is one of the ultimate measuring sticks. And we talk about money when there's not enough of it, because it is at that point where the situation demands discourse. But when you're making ends meet, even if you're not getting rich, it's very easy to feel like, okay, I'm at least doing my job. But the mentality towards money, again, and that also is influenced by other external pressures, things that formulate our worldview. And for many people who are religious, they can misquote scripture saying that money is the root of all evil, and which it's not. Money is amoral, and it's the love of money that is the root of all evil, according to the book that they are misquoting. But again, it's like it's a way to keep score. And if you don't feel like you are excelling, the last thing you want to do from an ego perspective is look at the scoreboard. So I don't think that in Black households, money is talked about nearly enough, because it will cause you to take a serious account of where you are, decisions that you've made. I can just use myself, as an example. I can say that the the growth of my family outpaced my income. And so, when you are having children, we look at family planning. It should be just that. It shouldn't be a, hey, baby, guess what? We're pregnant. Oh, shit. Now I got to go out and get another job and make some more money. There should be a plan there. And in order for the family growth to not be a source of stress, which eventually can lead to the demise of a relationship, or unnecessary added stress and pressure being placed on the relationship to compensate for poor planning. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why it isn't talked about as much, because there's not really a family planning aspect, a financial family planning aspect that is implemented from the beginning of a relationship. Most of the times people are so high off of their brain chemicals, off of the love, the love chemicals, to think rationally enough to have these kind of conversations, which is why you should never make decisions when you're emotional. You should approach marriage and finances in the pragmatic way that the gravity of that subject would necessitate. And when we push that off, or when we don't give it its proper weight in the beginning, that weight comes crashing down on us later on in life, and can cause some serious problems. So it is definitely something that should be on the forefront of the conversation, but not simply from a roles perspective, but from a collaborative perspective. Because if we're going to be married, then we both have economic impact that we're going to be bringing to the relationship from our previous lives when we were single, as well as decisions that we're making now that we are, now that we're married.
That's a very hard act to follow. So I'm not. Because he said it, basically he said it all.
That was good.
When you figure out the accountability, that's what it is. And most of relationships break up because of money, because of not having it or not being able to provide, because most people lack financial literacy. And even at the stage again where you can be, people are not taught familyhood. They're not taught to come together and put their resources and pool it and everything else like that. Like, like literally, and I'll be transparent. Whenever my ex would get money from filing her taxes, she would file her taxes, married filing separately. So the money would come straight to her. And then she would say, "This is my money." That's how she was. There was nothing else that was going on with it. I believe one year she allowed me to claim my son, but this is coming from a person who, some people are raised on struggle. And I can say that most of us are. But when somebody you live within the same abode, live in the same house, you're putting out resources, basically was like, nah, I still want you to pay child support because I deserve it, you know. And I went through a situation where, it's funny to me now, is that I didn't know that we were on Section 8. So I'm paying out like money, like rent money. I'm giving her rent money every month. I'm clapping this rent money out, right? And I'm thinking like it's cheap. I'm like, yeah, this is great. Yeah. So that August, I believe I wanted to buy. At the time, I was very ostentatious. I was into buying watches with diamonds and stuff on that, because I felt like, I worked really hard. I should have these things. So I was like, yo, I bought this watch. And so, and it was the funny thing was like, I had two jobs, which was real. It was like I had two jobs. So I was like, I'm getting paid next week. I could pay everything next week. Right. And she flipped out. She was throwing stuff, breaking stuff in the house. She was like losing it, right? She's like, you're trying to make us homeless. You're trying to do this. Like, and completely in my mind, I'm like, I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for next week to come. I can't wait. I gotta definitively do this work, put this money down. So I go down to the place to go pay the money. And they're like, yeah, you don't have to pay us till like, November, December if you don't want to. And I'm like, why? And it was like, well, your rent is only this amount of money. So I'm like, so from February to August, I'm giving her so much money and I'm still paying bills in the house and she's getting child support. But that's just who she was. And so a lot of times when you're coming at, like, you really have to look at people to see if they're financially a narcissist, or, you have to look at these type of things. They all come into play. You have to look at it, how that's going to happen, how those things occur, because everything that Wendell said was like spot on. Sometimes you don't want to find out how much you don't have, because that could lead to depression. And as we were talking about mental health before, you know, not having things can make you mental, seriously. But I'm gonna pass it to you, Ken.
Before Kennedy gets it, I think y'all two did a really good job. I have a question I thought of in the middle of this, and Kennedy, I'm gonna pass this one just to you. So, matter of fact, I'm gonna go backwards real quick. Mojave, quick question. Around what age were you taught how to manage a budget?
All right, so
Oh no, sir. Black and white question.
I know it's a
Around
black
what
white question.
age?
Nah, man. You want to look. My father has thick hands like mine. His is like thick. He'll smack me. He's like, "What was you talking about on that live?" Anyway, it's mad funny. So, when we lived in this place, 35 North Manning, and so my father would tell us on how like how much money we had to go to the supermarket and buy stuff. So we ate a lot of chicken and grits, which to this day I eat a lot of chicken and grits to this day, because it's in the budget. So you have to figure out how you need the budget. You have to figure out how you're gonna do your laundry, how everything else is going on. And we had to figure that out. And he was like, well, sit down and figure out exactly what it is. Exactly what it is that you need to do. And my father was a big fan of writing things like, you write one concept on one piece of paper and and then go through each paper, and every paper you rip off. That's how he was doing it. So when we go to the supermarket, we didn't have time to be in there trying to grab Captain Crunch. We was grabbing the big bags, plastic bags that look like Crunch. We was grabbing that. We was grabbing grits. If we had regular butter, man, I'm telling you, people ask me how I make grits so good.
Hey, I defy you to tell me that grits ain't groceries.
Listen, I'm trying to tell you because.
Hey, by the way, sugar don't go on grits. Go ahead.
Sugar does not go in grits. Whoever puts sugar in grits, yeah. There needs to be an app that you can press and the hand come out and smack putting sugar in the grits. Anyway, but in that sense, and it was like around, it was like me and my brothers, like we had to figure certain things out. The refrigerator was never on fleek or on full or anything else. Like now, sometimes I go in the supermarket, I get a little stupid. Because all the stuff you didn't get, even with me being a sneakerhead, it's all the stuff I couldn't get. You see the sneakers behind me, it's stuff I couldn't get because we didn't have it in the budget. So we had to figure it out. But then also with school, we had home economics. We have civic classes. You had support, where all those things are not here now. They're not here. You either going to specialize in trade or something like that, but you're not having it in a regular school where you actually have to learn how to do these things. For us, you want to eat, don't spend your money. Go get this. You want to eat well? You want to do this? You might not want that steak, but guess what? That steak is this amount of money, but you can get 4 or 5 things of grits and some butter, and you can eat that just as quick, and you just as full and all this other stuff, and have some chicken. That's your protein. There you go. Rock out.
Yo, bro, hold up. You finna take me there real quick. Hey, Wendell.
Yeah.
In a short answer, because Mojave took us to the moon and back. That was phenomenal. Yo, bro, this quick question.
He's long win.
Hey, real quick, family. At what age did you learn how to manage your finances?
I was exposed to it at 16 when I was in school, again, home economics class. I didn't learn it until after I graduated college and I was on my first job, because up until that time, everything was purely hypothetical. It was an intellectual exercise with no practicum behind it. But when I got out into the real world myself, and I ran my account negative a time or two, or when I was, out to eat with a group of friends, or, on a date, and I had the unfortunate experience of the card not going through. Oh yeah, I learned. That's when I learned, because then there was consequence and there was pain associated with it. So people don't be like me. Yeah. Learn it quick, learn it early.
So I'm gonna throw this out there real quick, and I want to tell everybody a quick story. So it's 2000. So it's 2011. I just arrived at Suwon, South Korea. It's 4 degrees, and I'm sitting at the airport. My new boss arrives. He's a captain. I'm a second lieutenant, and he puts me in the van. It's me, him, and 2 other NCOs, 2 other sergeants riding with us. So as we're riding down the road, I'm 21 years old. I've never had like my own money in my life until I became a lieutenant. And I'm driving over there, and the big boss man is like, "Hey, so how you doing? What's going on?" I said, "Nothing much." "Hey, sir, I know we're supposed to be a team and we can all be transparent and honest with each other." He says, "Absolutely." I said, "Well, can you teach me how to manage a bank account? Because I don't really know how to manage my money like that." When I tell you, everybody in the car bust out laughing at me, every single person. And when they did, I was so embarrassed that from that point forward, I got obsessed with learning how to get my money right. So I go back to Wendell's point of sometimes it takes your piss poor preparation to impact piss poor performance and to produce pain for you to eventually figure out that you need to get yourself together. So Kennedy, taking all this stuff we talked about, now I'm going to bring this to you real quick. So my question for you is, based on, you hear the age ranges, you've heard in the 20s, in the 30s, you've heard at 16 getting familiarized with it. Based on the lack of financial education and literacy amidst Black men, why do you think it is that more Black families don't push children towards STEM programs, science, technology, education, math? Why do you think they're not getting pushed more towards that as a buffer, just in case they run into a situation where their finances could implode if they don't know how to count? I guess is the best way I can frame that.
So there's a lot to take in. I'm gonna break it down a little bit. So you're asking, why is it that as a Black family, we're not pushing more? Is it just Black men or just Black people in general towards STEM programs to break that buffer of? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, see, I done did it now too. So now me and Wendell both guilty. So what I'm asking is, since we know there's a lack of literacy in finances, why aren't we pushing kids more so towards STEM programs where knowing how to count matters?
That's actually a really good question. NFL scholarships, anything sports related that quick out of whatever financial bonds we have, we focus on that. That's my I'm gonna get out of here ticket. At the time you go up to a little Black boy, ask him what he want to be. He's either gonna say a basketball player or an NFL player. Is that a problem? No. Is it realistic? No. We need to start teaching our kids about finances. And even if they do make it to the NFL and NBA, they need to learn how to finance their own money, because you're going to get these white guys who manage their bank accounts and, they go off spending money and they're blowing it, and then they're in debt and trying to play more years of sports to make up for the money that they're in debt. It's a repetitive cycle. So I think part of that is just training our mentality, switching our mentality from I'm only good for sports, into being instilled at a young age, like, hey, you could be a rocket scientist, you could be a medical doctor. There's other things that you're great at besides someone looking at you for your height or your skin color and being like, okay, he's gonna play football, or she's gonna dance, or something that we typically get as a Black people. So I think it's that stigma. That's a good way to put it. There's a stigma that we have to be great at sports to make it out of financial bondage and to make it, as people would say, rather than taking the time to send our kids to these STEM programs to learn about other, other avenues of making it. If that answers your question.
As I'm listening, and I think I caught the question. If this is so important, then why are we pushing that? And it's, I think in large part, it's because we sometimes we want to live vicariously through the lives of our children. And we see where we may have wasted or squandered an opportunity for ourselves that they have the potential to take and actually run with. And so we want to kind of ride their coattails, that's not good. Sometimes we don't push, STEM and other things that require, good, computational facility, because we feel like it would expose our inadequacy in those areas. If your child comes and asks you for help doing their homework, doing their algebra, their calculus, and you don't know algebra or calculus, hey, that's not a good feeling.
Right.
But I think, but more so is just when we are still being affected by the same factors that influence our worldview as our children. And so when we look at ourselves, we look at life through the lens of our past, and then we try to look forward at the potential of our children. We don't want them to walk in the footsteps that we had that may not have been as successful. We don't want them to duplicate our shortcomings when it comes to realizing our unrealized potential. And we do see, that some of these things are a financial come up, but I would hope, and I would admonish us that if you're going to do that and push your children in athletics as opposed to STEM, that you also, paint a very realistic picture of what that life entails. That this is not something that you're going to be doing for
Right,
10,
right.
12 years. As soon as you get hurt, you are done. So what is it that you have purposeful? Not that you can fall back on, but what is it that you can excel in once your playing years are done? Because they will end, and you've got to be prepared, for that. It can't be all that you know how to do. STEM and entrepreneurial, avenues, can definitely be the alternate way to go. And eventually we can move them from being the alternate way to go to the preferred way to go. But that is going to take some focused influence on worldview that we promote in our households.
So it kind of brings me to my next question. So you talked about the need for learning what is purposeful. And I like the way you framed everything, because you brought it back to the original topic of Black excellence and how acquiring the right education, using those tangible skills can assist you in the long term as a man to be able to lead to the highest level and to contribute to society better. So the one part I'd like to add to that is the ability to obtain generational wealth if it's done right. So the last financial question I want to ask you, gentlemen, is what do you tell a young Black man that is a teenager? How do we tell young Black men how to build generational wealth when we are, I'm going to use the term, when we are in a Henry status of high earning, not rich
yet?
So with you being and ladies, take that one with you. This is a real term, Henry, Henry, high earning, not rich yet. So how do we, gentlemen, how do we tell these young boys, this is how you develop generational wealth, knowing that you yourself are not in a situation where you've obtained generational wealth quite yet? I bring this question up in particular because we all know, we all recognize that the time is now to build this echelon of wealth, but we haven't quite reached it yet. But we have the ambitions and we're building the plans and we're executing it to get there. But you'll always have those young men that want it. And what happens is, if, as we say a lot in 100 Black Men, what they see is what they will be. So when they don't see you quite there yet, but you're going in that direction, how do you maintain the trust in that communication? How do you let a young man, better yet, a young man or woman, know how to build generational wealth, knowing that you haven't quite reached it yet? I'll pause this time. We're going to start with Kennedy. We'll go to Wendell and we'll close it out with Mojave. So Kennedy, your show.
All right. So that was an interesting question. I mean, I firmly believe that success, I learned that from a very wise man known as K Fitz. I don't know if he remembers that, but taught me that many years ago. Success leaves footprints. And if you're not quite successful yet, yeah, you didn't think I remember that. If you're not quite successful yet, it's hard to maintain that. Yeah, I never forgot that. I teach my soldiers that too, man. It's crazy. But if you're not quite there yet yourself, it is hard, really, really hard to show someone, you know, what you're working on to get to that level. But I think maintaining transparency, that's the biggest thing, because oftentimes you'll see it, you get these little ads of, you know, somebody with a Lamborghini and a stack of money and like, oh, I did this in 8 simple steps, and then they don't teach you the steps. But if I'm, and you know, I tell you like, yeah, I struggle and this is where I started, but these are the steps I'm taking to reach this end state, and this is, and kind of the same issues you may or may not be. I think that will keep them engaged enough to want to learn how to get to that end state, even if you never do.
So I would say the way that you would do that is by making sure that you are not the only person that they're looking at. Because you can be an example, but being an example doesn't necessarily mean that you're the standard. There are, if you know, we say if you are the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So they need to see that modeled in your life, that, you know, son, daughter, there's some things that I can teach you, but I'm still a student as well. And there are people that are achieving at a level even higher than me. And I want you to achieve on a level higher than me. So I'm going to share with you and impart into you the things that I know, but I'm also going to expose you to the people that know the things that I don't. That way, my ego doesn't become a stumbling block to your success. And so you promote success and you say, this is what success looks like. And yeah, and you say success leaves clues. There are certain skill sets and certain mindsets and certain thought processes that those who are successful have on autopilot that those who are unsuccessful struggle with and will never master. Or will, and let me not say will never master, but will need much more assistance in mastering in order to go to another level. And so the more that I can expose you, my child, to those thought processes and to those clues and to those indicators of success, then the more second nature they're going to become to you. It's like playing that game cash flow, you know. When you are able to properly analyze and recognize what a good deal is, then you can start doing that more and more. And next thing you know, you're out of the rat race. And there are many people, and they're getting younger and younger every day, who are that are identifying those opportunities. They're thinking outside of the proverbial box, and so they're getting outside of the box results. And those are the type of people and circles and circumstances that we want to bring our children into young, so that they can incorporate that into their lives and their thought process, so that they don't have to spend any any more time than is absolutely necessary at an address other than Success Lane.
I was supposed to hop in. I was on mute. Excuse my siesta for a second, but I agree with everybody else. What somebody said, what Wendell, what Kennedy said before. I used to think my father was crazy because he would take us and put us in the strangest places. And I'm like, Dad, you're bringing us around a bunch of white people. We're always around these white people. Like, and we were the blackest thing, and he would take us to weirdest places. But now I understand he was showing us that we weren't limited to what we saw, that we could walk amongst the same people who were making the different things. Like my father would take us eagle watching, eagle watching, right? But the people who were doing the eagle watching, their average income was a certain income because they had to have the cameras, the equipment, everything else. Now, sometimes you don't learn the lessons until you think about them much later in life. You try to figure out things that are going on, like like right now I deal with sneakers, right? So had I known then what I know now, I would have been buying at least two pairs of whatever the sneakers was and keeping one dead stock, so that when the time came I could sell that at a profit. Things that we enjoy, that we create because we generate a high rate of culture, we very seldomly get the chance to actually profit off of that. And so with young people in particular, the things that they enjoy are the things that they can actually monetize and profit off of. You look at YouTube, you look at Instagram, you look at all these different things that they do with social media. Once they figure out what their product is, or they figure out how to do certain things, or they get to certain type of information or do things, they're able to profit off of that. And I would say for younger folks, it's the things that you do that you're happy with, that you're passionate about, is where you're going to make your most money. And that's the things that never feel like work. Now, me as an artist, growing up, artists are notoriously known not to have or get money for certain things. But if you understand exactly what you're doing, you know how to market yourself and do certain things, you're able to do these things. And the funny thing is, the more designers that we see as our European counterparts, they borrow heavily always from our style, and from certain things that we do. Like, for example, there's a sister right now, she, a designer asked her for a design, right? So, oh, I'd love to have that. And so she was like, oh, well, let me send it to you. Later on, this person emulated the design. And so now she has to sue that person. This person is known for stealing designs because they're not original. We have to be able to be our own. We have to be our own people, produce our own high rate of culture, to do things that we got to do, because this is what happens to us. We make it, people take it, they sell it back to us, we buy it, and then we feel some kind of way about it. And so when it comes to stuff like that, financial literacy should be introduced as early as possible, whether it be paper, whether it be a paper route, everything else, taking your money. The whole thing, giving your child an LLC, making an LLC and then making your child person and paying them an LLC, that's legitimate. That builds business credit for them in the future. And then they can figure out what they want to do and how they want to run a corporation. I personally have certain organizations. I would love to turn them over to my kids, you know, but my son is too busy going to, he's like, I'm gonna be a doctor. I don't care about that. But each generation should do better than the last. That's how it happened. And then when we get things, we should buy properties, we should buy land, we should be passing these things along. Most of the times when somebody, like literally, when someone passes in our family, we split it. We split all the things about it, and we go about our business. Meanwhile, we're giving up something that can be earning income and potential for that family existing as generational wealth. A lot of things that we use to generational wealth, like we don't do a lot of real estate. We don't do a lot of things that happen. Like my mother is old school. She collects coins. Do you know how many coins and stuff that she has? Because literally these things are going to have wealth in the long term, because back in the day, Black people couldn't use banks. They had to get things they had to acquire things that basically built in value and have money in different things that are happening. So to me, more financial literacy, finding something that they're truly passionate about that they can monetize and make theirs. Three, having them learn the old school way of doing certain things so they can actually master it and beat it. And then four, more importantly, let them see all the different things that they can see. The more experiences, the better. The more they expand their mind, the greater is the capacity that they will have to strive towards those goals and knock them out.
So this brings me to so my only closing statement on this topic. I'd encourage everyone that's listening to just to try to culminate what everybody said in one phrase. Be a process, not a blueprint. I'm gonna say it again. Be a process, not a blueprint. See, when you become a blueprint, that means it is done. It is finished. What this blueprint says, this is how to get it done. And we all have to know that we're not at the finished product yet. If the generational wealth has not been established, you're still in the process of building the blueprint. So what I would recommend is internalizing that as we're teaching, as we're coaching, mentoring, you are a process. And when you finally achieved it, you can now hand a child the blueprint. But in the meantime, based on what a lot of the gentlemen have said, we need to find ways to batch growth, find ways to take things that they already know how to do well and how to amplify and multiply it to produce the maximum productivity for the child. We also need to expose them to different locations, different venues, different events that will make them uncomfortable. So when the time comes, they're confident when others are not as confident in those environments. One thing I like to really push, when I was at 1st Armor Division, General Stephen Twitty used to always say this: every chance you get a rep. That means that they may fail, they may get it wrong. Give them as many reps as humanly possible, because there's only a certain amount of times you're going to try to bench a certain amount of weight before your body finally figures out how to get that weight up. And the last recommendation I really like the Mojave put out was trying to build businesses for them young so that you can hand a business off when they finally have reached the maturation required to lead and hand that over. And if they don't, then that's okay. Just know that it's something that you can continue to posture for the next generation down the line, or at least it'll always be intact. Whether it's a physical business, whether it's land, whether it's a home, whatever the case may be, build something that you can put in tow so that when the child has maturated, you can pass off something great to them. So, and shout outs to Watching Eagles. That was different. All right. Yo, let's move to the next one. Mojave, we're going to kick this one off with you. Then it's going to be Kennedy, then Wendell. Let's talk about relationships for real, real quick, gents. My first question for you, Mojave, do women have the correct assessment of what men are seeking in a wife?
Whoa.
I told you I was coming with it, man. I didn't come to play no games.
He pulled the truck up.
Right.
Listen,
don't move.
What they say on that? Hey, what they say on that Beyonce album? Yo, I did not come to play with you. I came to slay. Well, we gonna get it today.
Pull up the truck, just run you over real quick. Hey, man, you want to answer this question? Oh, well, gee, K-Fitz, if I answer this question.
No, my mic, don't
All right.
Don't talk over me.
I got you. No worries. No, I don't think that there's ever a correct assessment, because assessments are individualized. There's no general topic for each person. There's no general topic for just one person saying, oh, this is what I want, because that's not what it, because everybody has difference in opinion, what they want, what they don't want. They want short, they want fat, they want all. It's just different stuff that happens. So no, there's no correct assessment, because it all depends on, everybody's not going to marry the same person or be with the same person. So therefore, that's another trick question. Thank you. And I know you didn't come to play with me, but you're not slick. Cut it out. He's like, I was waiting for you to say something stupid, but hey, let's go with it. No, but no, there's no correct assessment. You like what you like, and it all comes down to who you're attracted to, what you like, how you feel they are, what's in their heart, their character, all the different things that we had talked about previously, which still has a bearing upon this. I mean, people decide who they want to marry if they want to marry. Like when I look at marriage, the people I know who've been married for a long time, they're almost like each other in such a way. They're almost like twins. They finish each other's sentences, they do certain things, but at the same time, they have a fierce respect, love, and care for each other, and they're each other's best friends. And it's like friendship set on fire between them, and they're always looking for each other, being with each other. They're always a connection, whether regardless or not. And even in anything extending that, they can literally be doing things that are separate. Like, so when I look at it, I think the correct, there's no correct assessment when it comes to love because everybody loves differently.
I definitely agree with that, Mojave. I also agree with what Wendell said earlier. There comes a time in your relationship where you're ever changing, so you can't have that preset conception of what you expect because you're ever growing. From the time, like you say, from the time you're 20 to your 30s, you're gonna see things that you did back then and be like, why did I do that? Or I should have done X, Y, and Z. So I'm gonna have to agree with Mojave on this statement.
Mm.
So I think that this statement comes with having a general understanding, or at least a general willing to be understanding about what the opposite sex may want, as opposed to only coming to the table with your own list of demands, so quote unquote. Because relationships is a negotiation. At some point in time, throughout your dating process, throughout your courting process, what you're trying to do is assess whether or not this is a person that can add value to your life in a way that is meaningful for you. And in determining what that value is, you are assessing your needs versus your wants, and your preferences versus your prerequisites. Okay, your needs versus your wants, and your preferences versus your prerequisites. And your preferences can be largely superficial. Your wants can be largely superficial, and as such, they can tend to change as you change, as you take more honest inventory of yourself. You begin to realize that the you that you were in your 20s could potentially garner a higher price than the you in your later on in life. But that's if you choose to take that perspective. You could always focus on what your needs are and what your prerequisites are. You need someone. I would say people need people who have a degree of self-awareness that would cause them not to fall victim to selfishness. If you're going to build a life with someone, then that life cannot be all about you and what you want. There is a give and take. So you have to assess what it is you have to give versus what you are asking to take. And that takes maturity. So K Fitch, do women have a honest understanding of of men, or however it was or do they take that into consideration about what men want? Or I forget exactly how the question was posed, but I would say on the whole, from a very high level, no. But I don't think that people do. Everybody is out to get for themselves, and then through experience they end up learning what value they bring to others, and versus the value that they're looking to extract from others, and then they frame themselves in a way to make the best deal possible, and at the same time, try to be not overly influenced by the brain chemicals that are designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason, according to the architect in the Matrix too. So that's what I would say to that.
Well, let me ask you this. Next question, Wendell, I'm going to start with you. Go to Mojave. Next to be Kennedy. Let me ask you this. What should Black boys be mentored to look for in a woman as they grow older?
Woo, okay. All right. let's get it. Let's get it. Because as a young boy, you got to know, I mean, you are changing. So one, you don't know anything yet. So, let's take you up to the side and let's paint a picture for you. You can choose to get what may be good to you, or you can choose what's good for you. Delayed gratification. I can give you a piece of candy now, or you can wait 30 minutes and I'll give you two. What are you going to what is how are you going to respond? Okay. So you can have a very short-sighted perspective on women that limits your appraisal of their value to their strictly to their sexual marketplace value, or you can take a more strategic long-term approach to women where you still are able to to benefit from those things that you are innately attracted to. However, those things are not the sole driving purpose behind sole driving force behind your decision making. You want to have you would want to have a woman that can support your vision, who can inspire you to evolve to higher levels of personal greatness. You want someone who can push you, who can help you to see your personal value and then build on it. And you want to be the type of man that a woman like that would want to associate herself with. Because when you become the man that you want to be, you want to make sure that when you look to your left or to your right, the woman on your arm are the woman or women that you surround yourself with are of the kind and caliber that would be proper accoutrements to your success, and that you are being a proper accoutrement to theirs, and together y'all are building and doing what you need to do, because life is about more than what happens in your 20s. You're going to get to a point where you got a lot less life ahead of you than behind you, and when that time comes, you want to be happy with the choices that you've made. You want to be proud of the choices that you made, and their choice in partner is one of the biggest choices that you'll ever make.
To hop in on the tail end of that, your choice is going to be the thing that makes or breaks your relationship with the person. So, if you're looking for, make sure that she has a very big brain.
See what you did there, Javi.
Yeah. So you can actually talk to her, because intelligence is sexy. And a person who's emotionally connected and involved and mature, you want to look for someone who's emotionally mature. You want to look for someone who's not going to be a person who's so caught up in trends and fashion and everything else that they can't see themselves. They got to be in the Joneses or what everything else is going on. You want to see the person who's actually committed to something, an idea, who they are, and they're committed to changing and growing and learning. I believe that a person who's a learning person is a very fantastic person to be around, because their minds are open. They're always the cylinders are always firing in their brain to find new ideas, concepts, and things of that sort. They're creative. I think loving kindness is a thing. A person who is loving and kind, um, those are very important things. I think that's one of the most major things that you could ever have in a person is a person who has a certain amount of kindness and a sense of humor. Someone you can laugh with. Someone you literally can just sit there and just tell stupid jokes and you just laugh about the stupidest things because you're constantly being attracted. Find someone you find is mentally attracted. I would say to my younger, if I was mentoring somebody like my younger self, I say, hey buddy, hey listen, I know you like them things. You like thickness. I know that's your thing. I understand you love everything thick. But please find someone who's kind, considerate, who has a heart, who's emotionally connected, who has loving kindness, who has a great sense of humor, and wants to build the same things that you want to build. That wants to see towards things that you can both be different, but respect each other's differences enough to help each other grow. Because that's another thing, a person who can also motivate you, that you're motivating. Because truth be told, truth be told, more transparency. I was with a person who literally was like, when I asked them about opportunities, and I was unsure, they didn't encourage me. They weren't about the encouragement. They weren't about trying to breathe life into it. Like I try with anybody who I love and respect, I try to encourage as much as I can because it is a hidden gift, it is a hidden talent, it is a hidden blessing, you know, to encourage someone, to be encouraging, to help someone recognize their potential and push. And if a person, if you're mentioning somebody young, be like, look for someone who sees you and doesn't just like you for your potential, but pushes you towards it, encourages you, gives you kindness, gives you, when you get down, tells you to get right back up and gives you a helping hand if you need it, but doesn't enable you. You know, someone who really believes in the core of you, but also knows how to push that core of you forward. And I've seen that happen with my son. My son's and his girlfriend, very encouraging. Like I was like, yo, they making them a little bit different nowadays. Making them a little bit different. So, it's one of the things that's important. Like, kindness, encouragement, creativity, um, imagination, you know. Nerds are good too. Nerds are great. As I'm a nerd. So get a nerd. Get a nerd that can do all that. Just telling you, it's all that stuff. So I pass it to you, Ken.
Man, stop putting me behind these gentlemen. They just gems, man, straight gems. Y'all got your pen and paper because so much wisdom being imparted. But that goes back to that Black excellence we were talking about earlier. Um, y'all literally hit it dead on the head. The only thing I would probably add to that is independency. A lot of the times, and I'm only 27. I have an old soul, but I don't know everything. But what I've experienced, a lot of times we get in a relationship with someone because we're either trying to fill a void or we're lonely. And you should look for in someone else the ability to maintain independency. I don't want to have to do everything together with you because we're in a relationship. I want you to be successful just as I am successful in your own endeavors, whatever those may be. So I'm definitely going to have to add independency to that list that you guys so beautifully put together already.
So with that, so what I am hearing, because independency would be on the opposite end of codependency.
Right.
So are you talking about being able to maintain one's own identity and not losing
Individuality. There you
yourself?
go.
Individuality.
There you go. Individuality.
Okay.
That's the word. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Yeah.
Drive it home. Drive it home. Yeah.
Man.
Well, that was like, wait a minute, hold up.
Because we are interdependent. I think that's one of the biggest problems that unfortunately is promoted amongst our sisters, is the whole independent thing.
Y'all knew what the hell I meant.
Yeah.
No, I knew what you meant.
Hey,
I ain't had no problem.
it's just one of those things, brother. It's
Hey,
one of those teachable
thank
moments.
you.
I know I had to get it
I
myself.
appreciate that. I appreciate
But
that.
that-
I appreciate you helping me out. Drive that point. Thank you.
You know what? But I appreciate y'all. This is scary because y'all are perfectly segueing me into every question. So with that being said, Wendell, since you want to be the one to correct folks,
Right.
I know you're gonna get the correct answer.
Hot seat.
In a society where women being independent has become more prominent, do you believe that women are walking into relationships with men ready to be interdependent, or would they prefer to retain their independency? And how does that work in these relationships?
Ooh, yeah, that's what
All
you
right.
get.
So, all right. So, no,
You saw this, right?
I'm not backing down. I'm not backing down because there's a big difference between how things are and how I would hope that they should be. So yeah. I mean, those who are susceptible, who are overly susceptible to the messages, given by society, and who will allow their personal perspective towards relationships to be reflective of those influences, are going to reap. They're going to reap the consequences of that. They're going to sow to the wind and reap the whirlwind. It's real. Cute to sing Beyonce's, all the single ladies song when she's going home to Jay-Z and you're going home to your battery operated friend. So you got to really, understand what it is, what choices you're making, by aligning your mentality to your, to these different messages that you're hearing. So yeah, being interdependent is not a bad thing. And it's not popular to be interdependent because there's a presumption that there's going to be a power struggle. And that just goes to expose the woeful, inadequacy in understanding the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang, that they are complementary. They are not competitive. They don't compete with each other. You have both and you need both. And there is power in being masculine and there is power in being feminine. Those powers don't have to be interchangeable in order for them to both be important. And when the conversation is had about being independent, it is to suggest that the other energy is not necessary. And that is an incorrect assertion. And it is one that if you are indoctrinated into that and you buy into that, then you are going to see and experience throughout the totality of your life, especially your relationship life, that there is a price to pay for being overly dismissive of the importance of what is supposed to be your complementary energy. So yeah, take that.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Mojave, I get that one was just for him. You good, bro? You safe? You safe? You safe?
Hey, well done, Wendell. Well done.
But you know what? But although Mojave, although he's safe from that question, you ain't safe from this next one. So
Go ahead.
I'm gonna ask. So I'm gonna take the chill off real quick, and we're gonna have I have one serious question for all three of you men, and then we're gonna go into families next, and we'll close this out. So Mojave, the one serious question on the topic of social justice: is there anything that young Black men can do to protect themselves from the police, from society in a racially polarized era?
Damn. Really? Really? Okay, so You just gonna take the gloves off and you just come on over here.
We gotta air it out. If we don't, man, we're doing a disservice. So I gotta put it out there.
Number one, the way that our laws are set up and the way that the people who make the laws, the lawmakers, and the people in the status of which they share and who they are, and for thousands of years, I mean, for hundreds of years of how they've created this thing, values Black life at nothing. It values us at nothing. It does not even matter what our education is, what we do, how much we try to turn a phrase and live up to the American dream. Because at the end of the day, we are still Black men. We are still feared. We are still treated unjustly. We are still, I just watched a lieutenant say to the officer, "I'm scared to get out the car." And he's like, "You should be." Because in his mind, this man who was a police officer had no good intentions. And if that man had stepped out that car wrong, he would have shot him, and then they would have made up a story because they investigate themselves. That's why it's important to remove a qualified immunity, because these people know that they can just say this one thing, which is, they can say, "I feared for my life," and there are protections for that. So you can do the worst thing. The worst thing you can do is get fired, and then they'll hire you someplace else. They'll allow you to keep your police power. In almost every case, in the Tamir Rice case, Timothy Loman was not fit to be an officer. He wasn't fit. He was fired from his other job because he wasn't fit. He was too emotional. And then somehow that information didn't make it over to the Cleveland department. He shot him within 1.2 seconds and then lied about it. He experienced no prison time. That's it. Nothing. We are always in fear because we're not the people running the systems. We're not the people changing the law. We need more lawyers. We need more people operating. Even with, I forgot, Judge Olu Stevens, when he wrote something, the whole law system came in because he gave his opinion about how just it was. When we look at how we die literally with our hands up, surrendering ourselves, saying that we're not doing anything, and we still get shot. Meanwhile, mass murderers who are our European counterparts get to go and kill multiple people and be taken with no incident because those skills come out, right? When they murdered Elijah McCain, I believe, when they murdered him, right? They didn't ask him any questions. They injected him with ketamine because someone said that he looked as if. There was another case that didn't even make it to the news where a dude he was basically cosplaying, and he was running from the police because the police was chasing him, and he shot him in the back. Nothing happened to those officers, and that was also in Colorado. So when you ask me this question, is there anything we can do other than the fact of us talking as slow as we can, moving as slow as we can, putting our hands in plain sight, moving at the time of our hands sight, and even with our hands up? It all depends on the people. There's not enough training. There's not enough training. I'm sick and tired of people talking about training. There's no training. That person wanted to. We have people who belong to these white supremacist organizations who have infiltrated in, and their whole purpose is, you have gangs in the LA department, the police department, that are out there that they make their mark by killing Black people and people of color. That is how you get your stripes. We are not prepared unless we are part of the process or we become part of the things. It is almost impossible. I fear every time my child is someplace where he's not. I fear him going to playgrounds. I fear for everything that happens because our word means nothing. Who we are as people are, no matter what we do, no matter how we do it, no matter what we try to do, we are always being vilified as the victim. We are being vilified. George Floyd, people are putting George Floyd on trial, right? And the thing is that's crazy is that they march all these people say no, it was the suffocation. It was this. We told him to get up on him. He still stayed on his neck even though the audience came. Like the man literally killed this man. And it's not an open and closed shut. It's not an open and shut case because he can still get off. That's where we're at with this. So when you ask me a question like this, what can we do? What can't we do? What can't we do? I'm sorry to take over and just be all like this, but I mean, like, it's tiring. Like, yo, you can't, if I run a stop sign, that could be the end of my life. That can just be it. I could cross the street wrong. Somebody could just decide they're gonna choke me the hell out, and that'll be it. I can have Lucy's, I can have Skittles in Arizona. I could be playing music loudly. I could be playing with a gun in the park. I could just have a mental illness. We don't want to talk about how many times when they're having a mental illness episode and how we get killed in that. We're not even gonna talk about those. But this is what happened. What can we actually do? Now, if we start going off and go crazy like these other people and all this other stuff, and then we'll really get hunted. Then every time we turn around, like I just watched the thing where a brother was taking out the garbage. They didn't even know who he was. They was like, turn around, just yelling at him. Didn't even say nothing to him because he's not accorded the same respect as his counterparts. So forgive me. There's not much we can do. There's not much. We can obey law. We can try to be quiet, have our day in court, fight the charges. But there's always a part. There's always a part where we might end up dead. Period.
And Mojave, I feel everything that you just said. As a Black man in America, you know, wanting my humanity to be seen more than how I am painted out to be a demon. It pains me to have to take a more extreme position. You know, I'm a part of a 2A group, and something that the leader of that group says is that we should never bring a picket sign to a gunfight. And we find ourselves, you know, in a quest for justice and to be seen as human beings, often, unfortunately, marching ourselves to our own slaughter. And we do so willingly. And it hurts my heart. It pains me. A small piece of me dies every time I see a Black man or a Black woman or a person of color subjected to such vile mistreatment of the laws of humanity. And so it made me think of that poem by Claude McKay, "If We Must Die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and pinned in an inglorious spot, while round us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock at our accursed lot. But if we must die, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. Then even the monsters we defy shall be constrained to honor us though dead. O kinsmen, if we must meet the common foe, though far outnumbered, let us show us brave, and for their 1,000 blows deal one death blow. What though before us lies the open grave? Like men, we'll face the murderous, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying but fighting back."
Nice touch. And he's your frat too.
Blue Phi. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Hey, Kennedy,
This is
warning shots.
yeah, it's a very tough subject. Like I said, I've been transitioning for about 4 years now, and to feel what you men have probably felt your whole life is something you never get used to. Like, my wife is afraid every time I drive somewhere without her because she always tells me, be careful. And it's like, I don't speed, you know, I do the speed limit. I make sure I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but you never know. You might have a certain type of car. I drive a Dodge Charger because I want a Dodge Charger. I shouldn't have to worry about what type of car I drive or to be fearful of my life, you know, or something simple as walking down the street and not wearing certain clothes or looking a certain way. Like, it really shouldn't have to be like that. And there's really nothing you can do. There's not. You can't have a hairbrush in your hand. You can't carry a bag of Skittles. You can't play with toy guns. There are things that our counterparts are allowed to do that we just simply cannot. We simply cannot exist because our skin is seen as a weapon.
I take away from everything that's said. I know majority of the audience that's listening to us right now are Black women. So what I will tell you, ladies, if you're still listening to us, love those young Black men and love them hard, because you never know when the day is going to come where you send one off to work, you send them to school, and they don't make it back. I'll tell you, when I was a young second lieutenant, there were times when I would go to the store. I'm sorry, y'all. It's hitting me kind of hard. There was a time as a young officer that when I would go to the store, I could be on leave. I could not be at work. It could be the weekend and I'm not in the office at all. Based on the area that I was in, two things. I would always have a uniform in my trunk. And if I was home, there were times where I was so scared, I would put my uniform on just to go to the grocery store because I felt like it would reduce the likelihood of me getting attacked, being killed by a police officer. And eventually I stopped because I realized that it doesn't matter what you wear, it doesn't matter what you do, you can still be a target. And this past week just reaffirmed the thought that you might as well wear what you want. You might as well act as you want. You might as well be your happiest as you go out, because no matter what, if they come for you, they're going to come for you. But the best thing you can do is equip them with knowledge, equip them with peace, and put them in a position where they know their damn rights. It doesn't mean that they have to go out there and be crazy, be cocky with it, everything under the sun. But please, love those young men hard. Bring them up the right way. Make sure they're not just talking back to talk back, because one wrong word can lead to one trigger squeeze, and it'll be one regret that we're all going to carry the rest of our lives. So on that note, we'll try to bring the mood back up, gentlemen. We're going to switch to one more subject. And once I've taken you through these last three questions, we'll go ahead and close out for the night. But before we do, hey, ladies and gentlemen, what I don't want y'all to do right now, we're not going to end this on a somber note. This is just something we had to discuss. And that's why I intentionally put this question in the middle of all of this. It needed to be addressed. But at the same time, we're not leaving off this live sad, depressed, and melancholy. We're all going to leave on a good note. So what I want you to do, if it's in your heart, if it's in your emotions,
wait for you to get it on your own. X go deliver to you. Not open up the door to spread.
What he said. And by the way, R.I.P. DMX. Y'all know the vibes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
On that note, we're going to bring this energy back up. And while we bringing the energy back up,
push the like
likes
button.
Up. Get my likes up.
Share.
All right.
Aunties,
Share
mamas, cousins, grandpappies.
Let's get back to this positivity, y'all. All right. Hey, gentlemen, we're gonna kick this gear back up. So let's get back into it. The last topic we're gonna have.
Speaking of family.
I know, right?
Yes.
Come here, boo-boo. Come here.
Love to see it.
Yes.
All right. Go sit down, honey. Daddy's got 3 more, and I'm gonna go downstairs. We're gonna make you something yummy, okay? All right, here we go.
Black fathers matter, damn it.
Black excellence
matter.
Right there. An example.
Matter all day.
Let's do this. All right, gentlemen, last 3 questions. Each of you is gonna get one individual question, and we're gonna close this out. So we're gonna start off with Kennedy, because you said you're going behind everybody. So we're gonna make you go first. All right, so let me ask you this one. Get ready, because as usual, it's a loaded question.
Of course.
My question to you is, so as a father,
Mhm.
what attributes do you need to see in your child's potential fiance in order for you to give your blessing?
That's easy. They're gonna be single forever. I got two girls. Two girls. Nah. uh, I had to lighten the mood.
Talk that talk. Talk that talk.
Two attributes. It's hard because when you have daughters, man, like everything changes. Like if I had a son, we'd probably be on some wild stuff. But having two beautiful black daughters, like that's a tough one. First of all, I want to put this disclaimer out there. No matter who they decide to be with, black, white, Asian, woman, man, I'm gonna make sure that it's who's right for them. I can't sit here and say, you have to marry a certain person, you got to be with a certain person, because I don't feel like that helps society at all. So I support whoever they want to love, as long as they don't put their hands on them, they don't disrespect them in any way, shape, or form, as far as like cheating or anything like that. They represent them well, support any goals and aspirations they may have with some sense, because you say and do anything to get with somebody, but actually come up with a goal and a plan for each other. Communication is a big thing. They have to be able to communicate through problems. Don't just shut down and decide, well, this ain't gonna work because she's opinionated and I don't like it, so I'm gonna go on to the next best thing. That's the thing I notice a lot in today's society. So communication has to be effective between both parties. But I think that's pretty baseline thing. I can't say that I won't meet them with a shotgun at the door or nothing, just to get a real feel for them. But yeah, we'll go with that. I'll let y'all have the floor.
I think you gave a dope answer. Like, period, black and white. Hey, look, I'm a mom.
Hey, I mean,
as long as
yeah,
you do it right.
yeah, that's pretty much how it is.
Yo, I'm gonna switch it up. I lied. Mojave, you next. So
You're
ear, yo, Mojave, this one's for you, bro. When we talk about family, it's
Right.
the responsibility of that head of the household to propel their child to eventually achieving their long-term life goals. Mojave, my question for you: do men shy away from achieving their professional goals because they feel the pressure of providing for a household?
Ooh.
Jesus, man. What are you doing over there? Yo?
Javi the Prophet, come through, man. You got this.
All right. So, again, transparency. Um, it's messed up. So, all right. So, I was working like 2 jobs, and then I found a job at a university. And so I went to go work at that university, and it separated me from my family. And so um, I was in a situation where I did not fare as well as I wanted to fare because of how everything is. Because at the end of the day, you're left with you. And anytime that I went to a certain experience, I really didn't have the idea, like I didn't know how to connect or build or network or mark or find mentors or anything else like that. Like I was very not about that. So professionally, I had everything that it took. I just maybe wasn't there emotionally. And so I made a whole lot more money, but it separated me from my family and it caused a schism because I didn't bring everybody with me. So when I didn't do that, when I wasn't running rampant and being, all about making money, it put me closer to my family. And the sacrifice was to be closer, even though it didn't matter because the person I had as a partner pretty much wanted me to not do that so that they can get ahead and succeed. And then as soon as they got to where they needed to go and was successful, then they were like, look at you, you can't do nothing, which is crazy because the whole point behind it is, why would I do that? Um, I think if you ask me honestly, if I had to do it all over again, I would have figured out a way to get them with me or to take them with me, because being separate and making money does not make you closer to your family. It just doesn't, even if you wanted it to. Um, and if you're thinking about how it's going to advance things successfully, I mean, there's still certain things that my daughter brings up with me, in the sense of saying like my absence caused her to feel a certain kind of way. That she brings it up today, and she's 25, crazy, but at the same time, you can think that your goals and aspirations align with whatever your children are, but your children are going to pick whatever they're going to pick. You can only provide an example. You can only show them the way, because their choices are their own, and they're going to follow whatever path that they decide to have at that point, regardless of fact. Now, if your children get split, your son might go in your direction, your daughter might go in her mother's direction, and there's a schism between there. Whoever you decide to surround your people with and give examples, as we saw with that, we said later, um, those are the things that they'll follow. And the more they see, and the more that they see the rungs on the ladder, the easier it is for them to climb. So I will say, you're not really responsible. You're a holding pattern, if you can, to allow them to stand on your shoulders for them to climb up and go where they need to go. Because each generation should be like their last. So for me, making money is a good thing, but at the same time, the sacrifice of being close to your family is not. So that's the way I'm going to answer that question. That's all I got.
Ooh,
And y'all, you've been spitting bars all night, Mojave. All night.
ooh.
Wendell, last one for the night.
All right.
Yes,
Here we
sir.
go. I'm sorry, man. You're probably gonna get the worst one out of everybody. So
About time. About
He
time.
got it. He got it. Nah, he got this.
young Black women are always being told to know their worth. And we live in a society where women have high expectations for self, some earned over time, some gained from dealing with other people, some due to social media, some done to comparing self to what their other counterparts are doing. My question for you, brother, young women, young Black women in particular, are always taught to know their worth. Do you think they actually know it?
um, I don't think that anyone, but especially young Black women, um, truly know the the intrinsic value that they possess. Know your worth is it's a beautiful sentiment. It's all about self-empowerment, self-improvement, girl power, Black girl magic, and all this other stuff like that, which are wonderful catchphrases, wonderful quips, and they are needed. But to say know your worth means that on some level you are aware of what is valuable and what is not. And far too often, the thing that is being promoted as valuable, turn this down, sorry about that. The thing that is promoted as valuable is probably one of the most fleeting things about our Black women that there can be. And know your worth is designed to readjust the focus to the intangibles that can be brought to the table, rather than the physical attributes that, that change over time. Our bodies deteriorate. What was once sitting high will sag low. So if that is all that you are deeming as valuable about yourself, or if that's all that is being promoted as worthy about yourself, then you are setting yourself up for rapid depreciation. So little girls, young Black women, to say know your worth is to say, you know what, the worth of who I am, the value of what I am and who I am, radiates as a result of what I am. I am spirit. I am light. I am more than. Let's see. How did Yoda say it in Star Wars? Luminous beings we are, not this crude matter. So you are more than your flesh. What is between your ears is of infinite more value than what is between your legs. What is in your chest is much more important than the breasts that adorn your chest. All of these attributes and physical paraphernalia that you use to accentuate your own innate beauty are fleeting, and honestly, they only serve to either cover up and hide or accentuate and promote the value and the beauty that you are. But you've got to believe it first. And when no one else validates you, you got to validate yourself, but then make sure that you do not discount the validation that comes from the very people that you desire to associate yourself with. And brothers, we have to make sure that we are as intentional in validating a woman's non-sexual worth as we are pursuing her for her sexual worth. That's what I got for you, bro.
So, man, that was, y'all talk about me. His responses are as painful as the questions be, man. My goodness. Woo. Hey, so before we bring Michelle back in there, for anyone that's in the chat, if you could please, in the comments, I have a question, not for the gentleman on the panel, but I have a question for those that are listening right now. So if someone could please, in the chat, drop this question for me, please. My closing question tonight for the audience, plain and simple. If you've been through both sessions, you know where we stand in manhood. But my question to you, man, please put this in the chat. I'll talk about me. My question for you is, what is the worth of the Black male to you? I'll say the question again, and I want you to answer this. You can answer it now. You can answer it once this is saved and this is a regular video to watch. But my question for you, what is the value of the Black male to you? I look forward to seeing your comments. We'll definitely be down in the comment section looking at that particular question and providing feedback to you. But for the gentleman on the panel, you see the phenomenal Mr. Mojave. You see the God Kennedy. You see my guy, Wendell, down there. Gentlemen, yes, as usual, I always appreciate you being here, providing phenomenal content and feedback for those that are listening in. So with that being said, thank you guys so much. I relinquish my duties as moderator and I turn it back over to the wonderful Miss Michelle Warren. Thank you so much for the opportunity, ma'am. We give the floor back to you. Thank you once again.
Hold on. Salute to you.
A round of
Salute
applause.
to you.
Guys,
Yes.
have
Thank
done
you. Thank you.
wonderful. I've learned so much. I know the people in the chat have. It's been going and dinging, and oh my God. So if everybody looks, if you want to be on the panel at some point for any conversation, I did include a link on there to go ahead and sign up for it. Please like and share and subscribe to the YouTube page. We want to make sure that you can keep up and you can go back and look at prior shows and just keep the knowledge going. Please spread it because we need to have these very, very real conversation. And these gentlemen brought up some great points. So I do thank you all for coming on today. Yay!
Hey, thank you.
And we
Yeah.
watch this and listen to the things. We've had womanhood, we have had manhood. And after some deliberation, next week we're delving into marriage. Because there's a lot of misconceptions for males versus females into marriage. And we need to break this down because some people think it's just something to do, this big pretty wedding, but y'all don't understand the work behind it on either side of the spectrum. So come on. It's time. It's time to pull up a chair. Let's have a very real conversation, and let's get this thing straight. We want to get married and stay married, not have a big wedding and get divorced. Y'all ain't been married but 3 seconds, and y'all talking about we got issues with that. Okay. We also don't want to stay in a marriage that's unhealthy. Why y'all here? What you doing? You fighting every day. What's that? So just listen to the conversations you fellas had. Just kind of brought that home to me. So I thank you for coming on. I hope everyone has enjoyed this live because I know I have. Make sure you follow K Fitz also. Mr. Mojave make sure you follow him also, our creator, our creative person. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. Have a wonderful night, Facebook. Whew. Live stream is off.
Still recording though.